The initial 53-man roster for the Pittsburgh Steelers has officially been set. So today on Steelers Talk, we're going to be breaking down all 53 players that head coach Mike Tomlin has on this roster, at least to start here during the initial period of 53-man rosters here in the National Football League. Make sure you guys click that thumbs up icon if you haven't already. If you're excited for this season, man, we have been waiting for this season to get going all the way back since January, since the Steelers lost that playoff game against the Buffalo Bills. Now things seem extremely close. I can't wait to get it started with you guys. So if you're as excited as we are here at Steelers Talk for the new season, make sure you guys click that thumbs up icon right now. So let's start with the quarterbacks. The Steelers do keep 3 quarterbacks on the roster. Russell Wilson, Justin Fields, and Kyle Allen does in fact make the final roster. I actually thought that they might put him on practice squad to try to take advantage of the emergency quarterback rule in the National Football League, but the Steelers do like having 3 quarterbacks on the roster itself to prevent any team from going out and poaching that third quarterback. So Allen is on the final roster here. John Rice Plumlee gets released. Then we get to the running back room here. Najee Harris and Jaylen Warren, of course, is going to be your number 1 and number 2 combo. Cordarrelle Patterson is the other running back to make the final 53. And then it was just announced that the Pittsburgh Steelers are signing Boston Scott to join their practice squad. So Boston, somebody that has quite a bit of experience in the National Football League. He was just released by the Philadelphia Eagles, and now he's heading to the other side of Pennsylvania to play for the Pittsburgh Steelers, at least on their practice squad. Then the Steelers carry 5 wide receivers. In my roster projection, I had 7, but of course one of those was Brandon Ayuk, and the other was Dez Fitzpatrick. Of course, neither of those guys are on this roster as it stands today, but George Pickens remains your number 1, Van Jefferson your number 2, Calvin Austin III will probably start the year as the number 3 if the Steelers don't make a move, and then Roman Wilson and Scotty Miller are the other 2 backs in this room as it stands so far. But watch out for the Steelers to potentially hit the waiver wire here and try to pick up a receiver. That is, if they can't trade for Brandon Ayuk. Now predict it for me down there in the comments section. Do you think Pittsburgh adds a wide receiver before week 1, whether that be in free agency or whether that be via trade? Let me know, yes or no, for today's pinned comment. YouTube's going to throw you an ad break here in just a couple of seconds. And when that happens, take advantage of that time by giving me a yes or a no down there in the comments section. Steelers hold on to 4 tight ends here, just like we expected. Muth, Darnell, and then Connor's going to be playing a little bit of a fullback tight end type role here, kind of a hybrid role for him. And then MyCole Pruitt is going to be that number 4 tight end. Expect to see a lot of action for all 4 of these guys because Arthur Smith loves to use that fullback. He loves to go to 12 and 13 personnel, which means 2 and 3 tight ends. So expect to see these guys on the field quite a bit this season. Then we get to the offensive line here. Dan Moore Jr., Isaac Seumalu, Zach Frazier, James Daniels, and Broderick Jones is expected to be the starting rotation for week 1 versus the Atlanta Falcons. Troy Fautano is coming off of an injury suffered during training camp, so it'll be interesting to see when he gets into the lineup, if at all, this season. Dylan Cook is on injured reserve, but he's designated to return, so he can come off of IR after 4 weeks. Mason McCormick, Ryan McCollum, and Spencer Anderson round out the group, so 9 offensive linemen make the 53 to start here, and then when Dylan Cook comes back in week 4, I think one of these guys is probably going to be hitting the bricks. So coming up here on Steelers Talk, we're going to be talking about the defensive roster and special teams roster for your Pittsburgh Steelers this year. But before we get into that, let's have word from our sponsor today at Game Time, which is the fastest and easiest way to buy tickets for the sports, music, comedy, and theater in your area. And guys, we all know that experiencing a sporting event, especially a football game, live is unlike anything you can get from watching the game on your couch. Well, lucky for you, Game Time has this awesome new feature called Game Time Picks, which filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. So what you do is you download the Game Time app, you get in there, you look for your game. So let's take the home opener for the Steelers this year, for example, against the Chargers in week 3. You pick that game, you click the Game Time Picks button, and Game Time has a special algorithm to determine which seats and which tickets on their app have the best deals. So you don't have to shop around on a bunch of different ticketing apps. You don't have to shop around even on the Game Time app itself. You just click Game Time Picks, and they show you the best possible deals for the best possible seats for you to go go to the game and experience the game live. And what I love about using the Game Time app in general is that you get the lowest price guarantee on any ticket to any event. And it's more than just sports, guys. It's music festivals, it's concerts, it's comedy shows, and more. It's absolutely fantastic. Also, you get all-in pricing, so you don't get slapped with crazy fees at checkout. I know how much I hate that. I'm sure you do too. And then you can also get flash deals, so you can get even cheaper tickets the closer you wait to the start of your event. So today, take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time on the app. Download the app today, create an account, and use code ChatSports. It's one word, all caps, ChatSports. It's right down there in the bottom right of your screen right now for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code ChatSports, one word, all caps, ChatSports, for $20 off. Again, only on the first purchase. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time. So now on to the defense here. The defensive linemen holding on to quite a bit here. 8 defensive linemen to be exact. Cam Heyward, Keanu Benton, and Larry O are expected to be the starting threesome there on the defensive line. Then DeMarvin Leal, who had a really good training camp, he ends up making the roster. Montravius Adams, Dean Lowry, and then Isaiah Loudermilk and Logan Lee ends up making the final roster. A lot of people thought Lee would end up becoming a practice squad priority, but he starts the season on the 53. Then we get to the outside linebackers here, only carrying 3 outside linebackers to start this season. Now, what I'll say here, guys, is look out for the Steelers to potentially add another outside linebacker on the waiver wire if one they like comes available. But Jeremiah Moon is on the injured reserve, but he's designated for return. So after 4 weeks, Jeremiah Moon can come in here and be that 4th edge rusher if need. Right now, DeMarvin Leal could certainly serve as that 4th edge rusher if need be. He's got that a little bit of that versatility. Also, Peyton Wilson played a little bit of edge in college, so you might be asking him to play at the outside linebacker spot a little bit as well. Speaking of Peyton Wilson, he makes the team, but not as a starter just yet. Landon Roberts and Patrick Queen will be your starting duo on week 1. Wilson will rotate in, but they do hold on to Mark Robinson and Tyler Medikevich for special teams purposes and depth purposes, and then Cole Holcomb is still on the PUP list right now, hoping that he can return at some point during this season. Sticking to the middle of the defense here to the safeties. Minkah Fitzpatrick is going to be your starting free safety. Deshaun Elliott will be your starting strong safety. DeMonte KZ will be the 3rd safety that comes in on those 3 safety packages when Mike Tomlin goes to it. But also Miles Killebrew and Jalen Elliott both made the final team. Now, I will say, I do think Jalen Elliott might be on the chopping block if they say get another outside linebacker, or if they get another receiver on the waiver wire, or if they trade for Brandon Ayuk. I think Jalen Elliott will probably be the first guy off the roster. Then we get to the cornerbacks here, and it's a lot of juniors and it's a lot of young talent here. Okay, so you got Joey Porter Jr. and Dante Jackson as your starting outside cornerback duo. Thomas Graham Jr. was released, so Beanie Bishop Jr. has appeared to win the slot cornerback job heading into the year. So good for him. He's a UDFA. He came in here and he earned the job. Now maybe the Steelers bring in a slot defender if there's one that they like on the waiver wire. We'll have to see on that. But the fact that they were willing to release Thomas Graham Jr. tells us that they have a lot of confidence in Beanie Bishop Jr. Also, Darius Rush makes the roster. Corey Trice Jr. as well. Some younger, very talented, very physically gifted corners will be your depth pieces. And then Cam Sutton will eventually come back as in Week 10 after he serves a suspension. So now we get to the special teams here. Chris Boswell, of course, will be your kicker once again this season. Cameron Johnson had a really good preseason and training camp. He seems like he's going to be legit. Plus, he looks like Bill Burr, so that's always great to have. Then you got Christian Kuntz as your long snapper once again this year. So that is your 53-man roster right now. And, we've gotten to the point where the Steelers have announced their initial 53-man roster and no trade for Brandon Ayuk has happened. Now, I will say that the clock is ticking, all right? I think the Steelers really want to make sure that they get this deal done as soon as they possibly can, if they can make it happen. I will say this deal is still in the court of the San Francisco 49ers and Brandon Ayuk. They're going to have to make the call whether this trade goes through. They've already agreed to terms with each other. So listen, man, if this doesn't go through by the waiver claims tomorrow at 12 p.m. Eastern time, I don't think this trade is probably going to happen at all. So I think that this is definitely a very fluid situation. I think that it's going to come down to the wire here. Again, waiver claims are tomorrow, 12 p.m. p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we're going to be covering it live right here on Steelers Talk, breaking it all down, all the people that the Steelers bring in. Maybe they bring in a Tim Patrick who got released today. Maybe they bring in a Noah Brown who got released today. I definitely think this team is going to want to add a wide receiver. So whether they pull this trigger on the Brandon Ayuk trade or they go out and get somebody like a Tim Patrick or a Noah Brown, I'm not too sure just yet. But it's going to be very eventful here over the next 24 hours. You guys are not going to want to miss it, but make sure you go down there right now and let me know what player or players do you want the Steelers to bring in on waivers? Do you want Tim Patrick? Do you want Noah Brown? Do you want a trade for Brandon Ayuk? Let me know what you guys are thinking down there in the comments section. Lots of interesting names currently hitting the market. And make sure you guys click that subscribe button if you haven't already. Like I said, when those waiver claims come through tomorrow, we're going to have breaking news action for you guys. If they sign Tim Patrick, if they sign Noah Brown, if the trade for Brandon Ayuk happens, we're going to have you guys covered right here on the channel, 100% free with the latest surrounding the Pittsburgh Steelers. So make sure you click that subscribe button right now. And until next time, guys, here we go, Steelers.